6 years ago, my wife took nothing but an ideal and faith and turned it into a multi-million-dollar business with multiple streams of income. As a woman possessed, she overcame all obstacles and created multiple streams of wealth that has impacted our family for generations to come. From mental health professional to therapist to author to CEO, she is a constant reminder of the grace of God over her life. Get ready to listen to and take notes from Stenell, the money therapist, as she schools you on money, entrepreneurship, and life skills that was not taught. No more excuses. Wake up!
Thank you, husband, for that great introduction. Welcome back to No More Excuses, Wake Up, where we talk about money, entrepreneurship, and life skills that was not taught. I am your host, Stenell Myers, also known as Stenell the Money Therapist. This week, we are discussing life skills with guest Tamika McTier. Tamika is very passionate about providing accountability and empowering women that are on a journey to become the best versions of themselves. Tamika has always been a source of reference for women seeking advice, words of encouragement, and prayer, and empowering those in need. It has become a common act, but women especially, to share their heart and life experiences with her. She has interacted with a lot of women over the years, which led her into discovering her empathetic and warm personality that gives other women the freedom to confide and seek her advice about their fitness, journey, family, life, faith, and financial experiences. She is a wife of 15 years who have a passion for marriage and seeing others reach their marital goals. Tamika spent 5 years serving in ministry, orchestrated in a group setting, teaching married couples how to navigate life together. Tamika is a certified marriage facilitator, conducted private marital counseling sessions for couples in private one-on-one sessions for women only using the SYMBIS. Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts curriculum. Welcome to the show, Tamika. How are you?
I'm good, Stenell. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here with you today.
You know what? I am so glad to have you on the show. I know you are doing some things out there. So before we get started, I want you to talk about your podcast and exactly your platform. You and I, we met with Podcast Moguls by Nikayla. And I just want you to just really give some information because you are doing the thing. I'm learning from you and Nikayla, okay?
Oh my, thank you so much for that. Mm-hmm. So hello, everyone. I'm Tamika McTier. I am the podcast host of the Ageless Conversations podcast. And so my podcast focuses on the 4 pillars of fitness, faith, family, and finances. And it's my hope that anytime someone comes there and hear a conversation between myself and a guest, is that they walk away and gain in confidence with a new mindset and live a lifestyle thriving, not determined by age. And so when I say not determined by age, when you look across the 4 pillars that I talk about, I want women to be able to know that when they get confidence behind anything that they want to do, whether it's tackling their fitness goals, their money goals, rededicating their life to Christ, just getting on a new fitness journey or faith journey, or want to do things different in their family just because maybe something else was done by generations before them, that they can be cycle breakers. Don't let that your decision or where you end up in life be determined by an experience that you had in your age. We all go through different life experiences, and while some may have encountered things early in their teenage years, others may encounter it later in their 30s, 40s, or maybe as late as their 50s. Really, if you have a new mindset, you can achieve whatever it is that you want to do without those barriers.
You said cycle changer?
Like breaking generational curses and cycles like that. Essentially what I'm saying is, for myself, I'll use an example. My mom was a teenage mom. My sister was a teenage mom. I had my daughter at 19. So as you can see, it's a cycle thing. And I thought I would be one that would actually break that cycle. I was not one to break that cycle, but my daughter is still an extension of me. And so my daughter is, I have a 23-year-old daughter, and she's broken the cycle. She does not have a child. And so for me, I like that. Many times people experience things in life, as I mentioned, and they will often say, well, it's just normal, or they perceive it as being normal because so many people before them have done this, and so that's what appears to only be the right thing. But you can be the change that you want to see happen in your family, in your personal or professional life. It doesn't really matter. If there's something that you don't necessarily agree with, you can be the change maker.
That's right. And that's why I said, let me talk about that a little bit, because that is a life skill. That's important, because I had my son at 19 too. And I had to make a decision. I also got accepted to Norfolk State University. And I had to make a decision, do I have my son and follow my friends? Because both of my best friends were actually going there. Or do I go ahead and have this baby at 19? My mom, she was married, but she had children early as well. So what you said about the cycle, it is absolutely true. Now, my daughter is 21, and 9 p.m., I hear the alarm go off. I know that's birth control time. No, we're not doing that. So I'm 100% on top of her when it comes to that. And I thought that was important that you said that when you said like breaking that cycle. That's important.
So many people don't really see where they had the opportunity to break what has been a cycle for their family. And while for you and I, we can relate on having children, it also stems over into our faith walk. A lot of money situations, I mean, oftentimes, especially in our communities, most people aren't taught about finances as a child growing up. And so when kids do go off to college, unfortunately, there is so much temptation with all of the free offers that are given to kids with the credit cards. And then they, go ahead and accept that, not knowing, because they've never been taught about money. You have right now this early cycle of, well, they said I got approved for a credit card, so I'm just going to put it on my credit card. Although you're putting it on a credit card, that's still something that you're responsible for. And at some point, you have to pay it back. And it's oftentimes that kids aren't taught that. So if you're not exposed to that, or your parents haven't invited you into money conversations as a child, early on in your 20s, you begin to make some bad mistakes. And again, if you've never seen anyone around you do well with money or want to progress further, you oftentimes, or an individual oftentimes, won't even see where some of the challenges are, some of the downside is that they're having with their money issues. So they don't even know the first steps to take to get to the other side of, having good money skills.
So wait a minute, I have to stop you. You said if they haven't been invited into a money conversation, that is so important, because growing up, we haven't. That's why I'm so passionate about that, because we share the same similarities when it comes to our children. I'm grateful that I was able to fund our children college. And that was a choice that my husband and I made, but I didn't have that. And I'm sitting here with student loans. And now I'm in that public partnership, getting that all removed in 4 more years. And it will, I hope nothing happened as far as the administration, and that will be removed. But that conversation that you talk about did not happen. And that's important, that we are having that conversation and getting the knowledge to talk to our kids.
Yeah. And so like you, we were able to send my daughter to school and pay for that for her. And so for me, that was a big deal. Again, that's somewhere where I saw a cycle that I wanted to break. I wanted my daughter to have a different path. I wanted her to come out of school stress-free and not having to deal with college debt. Oftentimes you hear people say that they want their child to go to college, and on the flip side, you haven't even provided a way or given them any type of avenues to ensure that they are achieving this goal. It's like you want them to achieve something that maybe for some people that they did not achieve. And so you're vicariously living through your child. So it's like, well, I didn't get a degree, so I want my child to get a degree. But never along the line have you talked about financials that's associated with them going to college, or even try to prepare for them to go to college. You just know it's a dream that you want your child to experience. And so because of that, the child is left with trying to work a job in school and taking out, student loans. And then when they see sometimes that they're getting this money back, that opens up a whole nother can of worms.
That was me. What?
They open up a whole nother can of worms, and it's like, oh, well, I'm getting this free money I'm doing air quotes. You guys can't see me, but I'm getting this free money, and actually, in reality, it's not free money. Like you will have to pay it back. I wanted something different for her. Again, I wanted to put her on a path where she saw different, where we were talking about money in this household. It's possible that you can go to school and you can come out debt free. And then even for her master's degree, I'm like, don't pay for that and don't take out student loans for that if you don't have to. Like we did your undergrad, and for master's, get a job, and that employer They want you
so
bad
that's
enough.
on her. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was about to say, wait a minute, Tamika.
No.
Okay.
I got that first one for you. Anything you do after that, you're a
That's
grown
what
woman
it is.
now.
You sound just like my husband.
No, but I was like, it's still ways around that, and I'm like, employers, everybody has a tuition reimbursement program, so why not let your job pay for it? Yeah, there may be some commitment behind it to say that you have to stay at this employer 2 additional years. The degree is obtained, but I think worth the gamble to not have to pay X amount of dollars out of pocket. Personally, for me, I say suck it up. Get additional free education that you don't have to worry about paying for.
Yeah, there is a $1 trillion deficit when it comes to, and I talk about student loans all the time. I'm so passionate about that because here, when you graduate from school, such as myself, I can definitely use myself as an example. You graduate and with owing $100,000 or $80,000 because I went all the way to the doctors. I'm all but dissertation, and I decided I'm not paying an extra $20,000 after all of this. After I did 5 years, and I said I'm not doing it because I don't need it. And that's just a decision that I made. But then they get out of school, owe all that money, and only make $30,000 or $40,000. It's not a balance. It's definitely not a balance. It's really not. So what I want to get into is, you've been married for 15 years. I've been married for 11, going on 12. Got a couple years over me. You've been married for 15 years, and you speak about helping people. SYMBIS, saving your marriage before it starts, girl. Talk to me about that curriculum.
That's what the acronym is, SYMBIS, and so it stands for Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. And actually, how my husband and I, we got involved in that is we moved to Charlotte 8.5 years ago. And so through our church, we wanted community. Outside of just wanting community, we wanted to be connected to other married couples. And so we were involved in a small group. And from that small group, it was of married couples. It was like maybe just about 5 couples in that group. But from there, what we noticed is that a lot of times when it would come time for the teaching, that the leaders would invite us to do the teaching. And I'm like, why are we always the ones teaching when it's their home and it's their group? We're in attendance at their group. They were always asking us to lead. From there, we felt like God was calling us to lead our own group. So we stopped leading there and we started our own group. And it's just through our leading there and being connected to our church knew what we were doing. And so they had some people coming in, organizers of the SYMBIS program coming in and certifying people who they wanted to still come alongside the church and support other married couples. And so they had reached out to Tommy and I, my husband, and asked if we would be interested in going through and gaining this certification. And so we were like, okay, yeah, like cool. We went through it and we found the curriculum to be useful, very impactful. And so we started using that to just support other married couples. And really, it says saving your marriage before it starts, but we honestly hadn't had it. We've never really used it with a couple that weren't married already. The material is very effective for those that are planning to get married and for those that are getting married. That's how we've really been able to use it, but it's been really good. Like I said, we started out just serving in ministry and it went further to there. But I mean, I have a passion for marriage. I really love to see couples thriving. And so if I can come alongside somebody and provide tips to them and really be transparent with myself and sharing some of the hiccups that I've had in my own marriage and some things that they could do to turn things around, I'm always willing to do that for another couple.
Okay. You've been married for 15 years. Tommy, that's your husband.
Yes.
How many kids y'all have?
2.
You have 2 kids, 23 and
14.
And 14. Okay. You mentioned marriage. That's a passion. It is a passion for you and a passion for your husband?
It is.
As well?
Yeah.
Are you both actively, constantly finding yourself in a situation where you're counseling or having a conversation where people may call you and ask you both for some type of advice, marriage advice?
Yeah. Just last year, we helped Porter and our friends through a very difficult time in their marriage. It's not something that we advertise a lot. I advertise it more than him. When we do stuff like particularly with couples, then we do it together and we both find ourselves like pouring into the couples. But oftentimes I probably have more relationships with women than he does with men. So for that reason, I probably have worked more with married women versus him working with married men. And okay. I've been able to support women individually as well as a couple. Whereas when he's done it, we've only done it as a couple, supporting another couple.
Okay. So you can do it. You have done it separately with the woman. Okay. Yeah. And when y'all do it together, primarily together. Okay.
Yeah. And so essentially, probably here in the next couple of months, I am in the process of building out a program where I talk about those 4 pillars specifically for married women as well, to help them develop across those 4 things. Because realistically, what I'm saying is when you're whole, then you can show up whole as a wife. Girl. That's more so what it is. I believe that those 4 pillars that I talk about are many of the 4 pillars that is some of the drivers that probably impact a lot of our marriages today, whether it be our fitness, our faith, our family, and our finances. And all the time when we talk about fitness, I'm not necessarily talking about from a working out perspective, but of being mentally fit. Really, that's what that is. And oftentimes we as women can say that we want one thing, but our actions contradict something else. Maybe say if a couple is having issues, it relates around their finances. She is telling her husband that we don't have a savings, but she is continually getting Amazon packages delivered and then hiding them. You don't have money, and you're also not being real with the contributions that you're making in your finances. So really getting her to understand exactly who she is and what she contributes to the marriage to make it good or bad. It's not so much that I will be telling her what to do with her husband, because that's not the focus. It's really on you. And the more you develop and grow as an individual, I can promise you that that's going to spill over into every area of your life.
You're so right. When you talk about those 5 pillars, I'm going to say it again: fitness journey, family life, faith, and financial experiences. And when you talk about them, it is so important. I was in a tub one day listening to your podcast, and I was listening to you. I listened to you.
Thank you.
And when you listen to other people with podcasts, it just make you grow, because it's a passion. I think everybody does a podcast, it's some type of passion. And when I hear fitness journey, for me, when I heard you talk about it and the way you broke it down, you just broke it down again. Me personally, when I exercise, and you talked about, I remember you saying how you met somebody, y'all used to work together, and y'all went on your lunch break, and you was just like sold. And you were like,
and I've never turned back.
You were
that was in my early 20s. So for me, I'm pretty much at a space where I've been working out for over 20 years now. I have found for myself that's the best way that I can show up as Tamika and be able to provide and be Tamika in every area when I've had my time to myself. And having time to myself and mentally freeing myself of any worry or stress or anything has always been through fitness.
That's what I was trying to say. Like, you just took the words completely out my mouth. That if y'all cannot see me, that's what I was trying to say. When I'm out there working out, it ties everything in together. I can't explain it. It ties entrepreneurship, family, finance, everything that you talked about. Today, I didn't get a chance to work out because I was just so busy. And that's missing. I think I'm going to go and take a run tonight. It's starting off your day. But as for me, as I'm running, I'm thinking. And I'm thinking and I'm building. And I remember before the businesses was doing what they were doing, I remember years ago walking and thinking about, this is what I want to do, God, just talking to God. I would like, and then to see it comes in the past, and you're there and you see it. And then when I hear about your pillars, I'm like, that is so true, because when it all blends, because if you're connected and you're consistent with working out, that you will be consistent with anything.
And people often look at it like, you got to have your faith first. But really, I think if you have your fitness, like, your faith will come. And I'll give an example of that. You said you've been listening to the podcast. You may or may not have heard me share that I've run several half marathons.
I heard you.
Yeah. And so in running those half marathons, it took me believing first that I could get out there and run a half marathon, or that I could even run 1 mile for that matter. So that's the fitness piece. Like, oh, okay, fitness, I'm going to run because I'm working out and that'll help me lose some weight. But the faith came in because it's like, oh, I did 1 mile. Surely I believe in myself and I believe God that he can push me, I can do another mile.
Girl.
So for me, it's like when faith and fitness collide.
It does.
If you got one, you can use that muscle to exercise the other one. And that's where I believe that the faith comes in, that do the work
so
and it's going to come.
It's so true. I'm so passionate about that because it is so true. When I first started off, I was just walking. I'm like, I'm just walking. Now I can see my house the way where my neighborhood is. When I run, girl, I tell you, I'll be out of breath. I will not stop until I get to my door.
Yeah.
And I take that same thing and I take that in everything that I do, because then when we talk about entrepreneurship, that's taking a risk. And that's what I just did. I took a risk. Girl, I don't know if my heart gonna stop. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, like you just don't know. But what you know is, one, you feel good when you work out.
Yes.
You feel like you've accomplished something.
Yes.
And the more and more I show up for myself, I can move forward in every other area.
Yes.
Every single time I show up for myself and say, okay, I completed another workout, it gives me the confidence and it builds my faith pillar to say, I can do that next thing that I didn't think I can do. Because guess what? I did it. I can use the podcast as an example. Like when I recorded my very first episode, I was nervous as ever. Now, I don't want to say I don't get nervous when I record, but I think back, I've released my 11th episode and I'm like, I can do this. I've gotten past that first one.
Yes, girl. Yes. I'm so excited because what you're doing, and I used to have a women's group. You just building other women up just based on your life and based on your experience. I haven't met you, but even our conversations that you really have, you're passionate.
Yeah.
And you are so passionate.
I hope that I can use that passion to connect with other people because I know what I want to do. But for me, on the other side of it, it's that faith piece. Now I have to put myself all the way out there. And at some point, I have to say something on social media to get people.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that briefly because I struggled with that. I did. I'm not a social media person.
Yeah.
So how? Because when you say that, I don't see that because I follow you. I respond to I follow you and everything. But when I look at your pictures and I'm listening to you, I don't see that. But I struggle with that because on my back end, I have the businesses going. I don't need social media for that. But for this, I do. And I'm like, I don't want to do it. My question to you is, I'm surprised that you struggle with it, but how do you manage that? How do you handle that?
So my word for 2021 is confidence. You may have seen me post about that, but if you didn't, my word for 2021 is confidence. At the end of 2020, I read the book Do It Afraid by Joyce Meyer. And when I tell you that it was like a page turner, and every time I turned a page, everything she talked about, while we don't have the same stories, I created my own story, but she was talking to me, if that makes sense. When she would be talking about the confidence and courage that was needed for her in each season to get to the next thing, I felt like that book was really speaking to me. My husband and I, for the past 8.5 years, we had never at the end of the year come up with a word and use that word to kind of guide you through the next year. We started doing that 8.5 years ago. Sometimes we do a word together, so it'll be like a collective word, or sometimes we feel like God is calling us on our own individual word, so we won't have one together. So we kind of go back and forth. So some years, like I said, as a couple, we've had like a word, and then we didn't come up with, there's been times where as a couple we have not come up with a word and we've just had our own individual words. Well, at the end of 2020, he was saying that he had been praying and he said that he felt like our word was confidence. That's the word that God was giving him for our word of 2021. And when he said that, I laughed and I said, yeah, I feel like that's the word he's giving me, because as I had ended 2020 reading Joyce Meyer's book, Do It Afraid. Throughout that entire book, she just kept talking about having confidence and having courage. But for whatever reason, I felt like that she was telling me to have confidence a little bit more, and that she was telling me to pray for courage. That's what I kept hearing her say. as I was reading. So when he said our word was going to be confidence, I was like, okay, I can rock with it because that's what I was thinking anyway. And then I went to the word and just started reading up on what God said about confidence. And then I came across the scripture. I don't have it memorized, but I did write a post about it. And in that scripture, he just talked about having confidence in him. And if I have confidence in him, then it's so much that I can do if my confidence is in him. And it's so funny that we're even having this conversation and even talking about confidence, because that was our sermon yesterday for at church, like finding a new confidence and having a new confidence. And it's really been sitting down with flesh and saying, you can't have me because I've allowed you to control me up until this point of saying you can't do it, or comparing myself to somebody else, or maybe saying what if. And really, it's just every single time I do something, I still may have the fear of like, what if, or how is this going to be perceived? But I'm using my confidence and standing on the word of God to continue to push me and propel me to what I know that he's called me to do. This podcast is only the beginning. I feel like this podcast and what he's given me with that is just, what will you do with what I've given you so far? From that, I know that so much more is going to come, but I just have to push past my fears and keep showing up and doing it in confidence. Maybe that requires me to have a quick pep talk with myself. Get out your feelings, set yourself aside, and just do it. And really, that's what I've been doing. I mean, every single time I show up, I'm just like, okay, do it. If it resonates with somebody, it does. And if it doesn't, okay, you got a next shot. Just like try again. I'm not trying to show up as perfect Patty or anything like that, because I'm far from her. Growing and learning as I continue on. But I know any opportunity that I get to work with any women that are called to me, that they will see transformation after they've been in my space for a while.
That's right. We talk about confidence, and you also talk about accountability and empowering women. That's what our whole conversation is really about. And that's really what you are about when I see you. Yeah. Because you know how when you see a person, I remember, I think it was Bishop T.D. Jakes, I believe, or my bishop, it was somebody. And they said that, you know, you are basically, if I open up your pocketbook, like you are what's inside of it. You know what I mean? Like if something happened, you know, and inside my pocketbook, what you would see is two journals, no, 2 calendars, and like writing and journaling and notes in my phone, you know, because that's who I am. So with your accountability, and I do see confidence, even though, you know, we all have a struggle, I see you as that person, you know, and empowering other people. That's what I said.
Thank you.
And I think that's important, because we all have people that are younger than us that, you know, that looks up and they need to see that. They really do.
Before I got on this podcast recording with you, I had somebody reach out to me. So she had sent me a DM and she's like, hey, I wanted to ask a question. She was a little nervous to ask, but she wanted to know, can you be my mentor? I was like, oh, wow. First of all, that's an honor that you would even want to reach out to me and see something in me enough where you will want to model it, or would like to use me as a guide to get to the next level. So even little stuff like that is confirmation for me and lets me know that, you know, I'm on the right path that God has me on. You know what I'm saying?
You are. Yes, that's good. And congratulations to that.
Thank you. I feel like he's like, show me that you can be obedient with this thing that I've given you. When the scripture says, no eye has seen or ears have heard what God has for you, you know?
Right.
I feel like that's where I'm going.
Right. And you can feel them. I knew the podcast was something that I needed to do, a different entity. And it could be a lot, but I know I was harping on it for like a year or so. But I'm not getting that tap no more. Like I know the tap. I can't explain the tap. Yeah. But I know, because you constantly thinking about it, like constantly. I'm not thinking about it no more. Yeah. You know, and I'm doing it. So it's different. You know when it's God from when you go in and you complete and you're doing it. You're not thinking of that same thing. That's how you know you check that part off, so He can move you in your next direction. Yeah. Because we can't see that journey.
Yeah, and you actually care about it enough. Okay, now how can I make it better? How can I keep growing and growing this thing?
Exactly. Yeah. It's a lot.
It is.
It is a lot. I had asked you, what are 3 things you want people to know about you? And you said that you are a woman of faith, a goal crusher, You are a conversationalist that allow people the freedom to express themselves free of judgment. Please give me more.
For as long as I can remember, I've always been a source of inspiration and contact for another woman that has been in need around, again, those 4 pillars: fitness, faith, family, and finances. And really, I've always wondered and asked myself, why did she feel comfortable coming to talk to me about that? There's so many times where I'm in communication, conversing with another woman, and oftentimes I haven't said anything beyond a hello. While we are sitting together, within 5 or 10 minutes, she's spilled what I like to say, her guts. And I'm like, how did we get here? And it wasn't until recently, which is another reason why I was like, well, let me just birth this podcast, because I'm already having these conversations with women in private. Why not invite other women into the conversation so that when you hear us having this exchange, or when you encounter this experience, you know it's not just something that you're going through, but other women have gone through it and have overcome, gotten over that hurdle. It's just always been something that people do. I mean, they trust me with some of their deepest, darkest secrets. Really, I just listen. Unless you're soliciting feedback, I'm not really one to just go in and start giving all of these opinions. I really try to approach a situation and someone's experience from a place of, I really can't say what I would and what I would not do, because what I know from experience is until I have that particular experience, I don't know what I will do.
Wow.
So to judge an experience or somebody's behavior from a place of thinking I'm better or that I've arrived, I try to stay in position more so of just providing a listening ear, and until the feedback is solicited, that I give my own personal maybe thoughts on that topic. But other than that, I'm just here to listen, and if you want to pray, we can do that at the end.
I like that you said no judgment. That's a struggle. We are human. And I also like that you said, unless you are soliciting feedback, I just listen. That was dope.
I literally just listen, because sometimes I don't know what to say, and I can tell when somebody is just really wanting to vent. You know, if you think about it, sometimes when we're talking to our spouses, you might not be looking for them to say anything, but they might say, well, I wouldn't look for your opinion. I was just talking out loud and you just happen to be here.
I think that's the biggest thing in my marriage. Yeah. That's the biggest thing.
That's really just been my experience. The funniest thing about this whole ordeal and me and my connections with women that I encounter is that, quite honestly, I like to consider myself an introvert. Very much so. I'm very quiet. I'm not the loudest person in any area. If it's a party going on, I'm going to be like, hey, and find me a seat and stay in the corner. Now, somebody else might call me out and like try to hype me up or something like that. Like, hey, what's up, Tamika, blah, blah, blah. But really, center of attention or anything like that, it's not me. Also, on the other side of that, when you truly know what an introvert is, it has nothing to do really with your like connections with people, but it's really how you fill yourself up. Yeah, so quietness is how I really connect with myself in silence. I'm deep into my thoughts and really just clearing myself.
You're the one that sits in the back and you observe. You the observer. Right?
Very much. Like I peep game on everything. I'm just sitting there observing everything. And that's oftentimes too how I find out a lot, because I'm just sitting there. You know, obviously I will say I'm probably ear hustling. So although I'm not in the conversation, I'm, you know, listening and just peeping, you know, everything that's going on.
Your environment.
Yeah, that's how I often make conversations with people. I realize that I'm very in tune and more into, I guess, meaningful conversations that allow me to really get a chance to know somebody, allow me the chance to get to know somebody is really how I said that someone has spilled their guts and just like really told me everything. And it's not because I've come to that person and asked a lot of questions. It's just they said something, I may have asked a question and they felt comfortable to continue on in the conversation. Conversations I'm not interested in having with people is like, oh, so what do you do? Or like talking about the weather. What do I do? I don't like questions like that because I feel like those are like questions to size me up. So I'm actually really turned off by those types of questions.
How do you answer those questions, Tamika?
If I tell somebody what I do, I will not let you out of my space without asking you the same thing. Because don't ever think that you are going to ask me like what I do, and then I'll ask you that. Because most of the time, people don't like the question just like I don't, but they don't have, I'm going to say, the confidence to flip it back and ask that person the same thing that they just asked them. Okay, you just try to get all up in my business or size me up on the low. So I'm about to do the same thing to you.
Girl, I learned that. I moved in a neighborhood, and I'm gonna tell you this, and everybody on my show know my personality.
Yeah, and when you don't look like them, they be like, so what do you do? Girl, I be saying stupid stuff.
Girl, she asked, what do you do? And my husband, he said, the next person that asked me, I'm gonna say, and I'm not gonna edit this. He said, I'm gonna say, I'm a pimp and a drug dealer, and this right here is my bottom bitch. And I'm gonna be like, sure am.
So I'm always like, I'd be like, I should tell him I dance. I should tell him I just walk dogs all day. I'm always thinking of like something stupid I could like tell him, because I'm like, what is the purpose? Are you asking me that? Are you trying to see what job you think I have? And even me telling you the job, I'm really just telling you a title. I could tell you any title. A title really is just a title. That you don't know, that don't tell you what my deposit is, what I'm doing with my money or anything like that. So come again? Like,
she said my deposit. Don't tell you my balance in my account.
Like, what is that telling you? I mean, like, seriously, because you trying to figure out how I'm in this neighborhood. Like, cut the gas.
I think that's offensive to ask someone that. I just do. I don't really feel comfortable asking someone.
Exactly.
What do you do? I don't. Now, for the purpose of the podcast, the only
That's different
because I have a show, and these are the areas.
Yeah.
You know, and we had a conversation.
On top of it, my audience might want to work with you. So I'm really, it's totally different. It's totally different.
Totally different. Oh my gosh, girl. The stuff you're talking about, it's just like, yes, it's so true. I'm going to talk to you all day. Oh my.
See, I'm the conversationalist.
Yes, you are the conversationalist. You need to put that, like, you need to
put it somewhere.
You need to brand that, You need to wear that, a t-shirt or something. You need to brand that,
Okay.
I'm the conversationalist, like, Put that somewhere on your IG or something. I like it,
Okay.
T-shirt or something, you should do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it, because you are. Because I'm going to give you hearts and everything. Like, I told her to do it.
Hilarious.
Before we leave, I love words of affirmation. When I'm in the closet and I'm talking to God, I journal to God. That's how I pray. We all have words of affirmation that empower us. And your words of affirmation is, a confidence will take you places your fears have never seen. What does that mean?
And all of that's just wrapped up into almost everything that we've talked about when I talk about getting from one space to the next. Your confidence has to be bigger than your fear and anything that you want to achieve and anything that you want to do to get to that next level. When you look at it on the faith side specifically, your confidence in God and who he says he is and what he can do for you has to be bigger than anything you allowed the devil to tell you otherwise. Where does your confidence come from? Where does your source of help come from? If it's in God, he gonna take you more places than your fear could ever take you. But if you give fear power, then it will take you there too. But the fear is gonna take you somewhere totally different. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be not to where your goals. Don't allow yourself to be guided in fear, but allow yourself to be guided in faith and approach everything that you do in confidence and reaffirming yourself and who and what God says that you are and who you are to him.
Well, with that said, girl, we're about to drop the mic. Absolutely. You are so right. That's your word for the year, right?
Yeah.
Confidence. And you're right. Confidence definitely will take you places. It will.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot from just talking to you. People look at you and think you got it all together. I'll have confidence very strong in one area. But I'm telling you, when it comes to that social media stuff, I don't even want to fool with it. But I know in this world, like,
to get to our other side and to reach our people, and we could go so much further. You have to do it.
I'm like, I do not. I have to have a whole conversation with myself.
That's me too. And that's why podcasting actually worked for me, because I was like, I still can get my voice out there. I still can be impactful. I can do everything I want to do and impact women and help touch their lives. But I ain't got to be nobody's live doing it.
I try YouTube. I can't. By the time I get dressed, put the makeup on, I'm sleepy. Like, I can't. With podcasting, you can give it your all. If you need to read something, and then you can really expound on that.
Yep.
When it comes to YouTube,
you got to keep your eyes straight.
You got to keep your eyes straight. Trying to look down, trying to read, trying to remember things. No, it just do not work for me. But this, I was like, I found my jam. Lord.
Yep. It's definitely a space where I would tell anybody is afraid of being on camera and you want to use your voice. Mm-hmm. Podcasting is the way.
It's definitely the way. And you can meet so many people. If you like people, girl, because I talk to a dog.
Yeah.
Anybody. If you like people, this is really the way. It is. Mm-hmm.
Every time after I get done with one, I'm always like, oh, that was so good. I'm like, I really like what she said. Or I'm like, I really like talking to her.
You learn a lot.
Yeah.
Like I learned today. So I want to say thank you, Tamika, for actually coming on the show. And I really appreciate you giving us your wisdom, because you are a conversationalist.
Thank you so much for inviting me on to be a guest. I had a really good time, speaking with you and everything. I know you and I connected like the end of last year, and you were like, I'm gonna have you on the podcast, and I was like, okay. I was like, if she reached out, okay, and then you actually did. So really good.
Girl, I'm slow.
It's fine.
I'm slow with everything, but if I say it, I will. I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'm coming to the party late. I'm coming real late, but I'll be there. But thank you, and I appreciate it. And as I always say, no more excuses. Y'all better go out there and do you and wake up. Hey, smart people. I have a 3-month one-on-one personal or business coaching program. As you all know, I paid off $50,000 in debt in 1 year. I will teach you how I stayed out of debt using my burner method and personalized spreadsheet I created to fit my lifestyle and keep me on track. You will learn how to understand your money communication style using my financial treatment plan. Also, if you own a small business and you feel stuck with cash flow or feel disorganized, I teach business owners and self-employed entrepreneurs such as yourself to financially maximize your money, build wealth using your business income, and retire working on the business while your business continues to run, such as myself. You can book a call with me. The link is in the show notes. Thank you for listening to No More Excuses, Wake Up. If you love the show, please subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes or Spotify. To learn more about me and my different agencies and what I do, go to StenellMyersEnterprises.com. While you're there, check out Money Therapy Institute and watch my video where you will see me doing a little acting, showing you how I fought and kicked down closed doors. You can also click on Stenell the Money Therapist and get my free budget spreadsheet. And of course, you can email me at contact@StenellTheMoneyTherapist.com. I'm also on social media on Facebook at Stenell the Money Therapist and Instagram at Stenell the Money Therapist. No more excuses. Y'all know what y'all need to do. Wake up.